How to complete Social Security disability forms. Your case may be denied because you, your spouse, friends, or relatives did not know how to complete many of the Social Security forms. Some judges use statements on these forms to prove that you are not disabled. First, you need to know a little bit about how to prove you have a disabling impairment. Getting Social Security disability is not at all like getting workers' compensation benefits. On workers' compensation cases, you only need to prove you cannot do your past work. However, on Social Security disability cases, you must prove you cannot do any work across the country, and not just where you live. If you also have a workers' compensation case, make sure any settlement papers include the following language: "This settlement is written off over my lifetime." If this language is not included, this money may be deducted from your Social Security benefits. How does Social Security decide that you are disabled if you are not working? Social Security will read the forms you filled out, and it may look at what you do around the house from the time you get up until the time you go to sleep at night. If you cook 3 meals a day, maybe you can work as a cook. If you cut your grass or do gardening, maybe you can be a landscape worker or work in a garden shop. If you do laundry, maybe you can work for a laundry cleaner. If you take care of a sick relative, maybe you can work as a healthcare aide. Some judges think if you prepare very detailed forms or type them yourself, that is evidence you can concentrate and are not in pain. If you have difficulty preparing the forms, have a family member assist you. If you drive a distance to your doctor's office or drive your children to school, maybe you can work as a taxi cab driver. If your treating physician reports that you do these things and does not recommend that you stop doing these things, you may not be found disabled. If you have pain from your medical conditions and your doctor has not prescribed medication, whether or not you take it, that may be some evidence that you are not seriously disabled. If you are not in treatment on a regular basis, that may also show that you are not seriously disabled. The fact that you cannot afford treatment does not matter, because it is well known that there are both free medical clinics and clinics that charge on a sliding scale based on income. A list of clinics in your area is attached. If these clinics refuse to see you, call your attorney's office so that your attorney can try to get you an appointment. The fact that nothing can be done about your condition is not an acceptable excuse for not getting treatment, since some judges feel anyone not in treatment cannot have a serious medical condition. And proof of disability can best be shown by use of medical records that describe your symptoms and ongoing pain. Drugs and alcohol. If you drink alcohol or take drugs and it is provable, you cannot be approved for disability. If you have this kind of problem, get into treatment. Also, if you smoke cigarettes, ask for medication to help you stop or cut back. Some decision makers think smoking contributes to many disabilities. Some of the physical and mental criteria Social Security looks at to determine if you are disabled are the following: unable to sit without severe pain for an hour, unable to stand without severe pain for an hour, unable to walk appreciable distances without pain, unable to lift more than 8 pounds without severe pain, unable to use your dominant hand due to severe pain, unable to use your fingers on the dominant hand due to severe pain, unable to balance without use of a cane, unable to balance on flat surfaces, the need to lie down for much more than 1.5 hours, the need to elevate your legs when lying down, the need to sleep for several hours during the day. Do you suffer fatigue that prevents you from doing normal household chores? Does your pain interfere with concentration? For example, watching television, reading a book, listening to music, etc. Are you unable to read or write? Do you have mental impairments, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, etc. that result in any of the following: inability to concentrate, inability to persist on a task, inability to pace yourself on a task, inability to get along with other people, resulting in hostile behavior or withdrawal from people, inability to respect people in authority, memory problems, inability to remember or understand simple instructions, like remembering someone's telephone number and or following directions when lost. Do you have severe panic attacks weekly? Do you have severe side effects from medication? Are you unable to do simple mathematics? Are you taking medication for any mental impairments? If so, are you seeing a mental health therapist? Preferably it should be someone who has or is supervised by a psychiatrist or psychologist. If you are not treated by mental health professionals, sometimes your mental impairments will not be given consideration by Social Security. If you feel that you meet the criteria for disability, Be sure to inform your spouse, friends, relatives of your intent to file an application. You may be asked to give Social Security a list of names of people to contact about your disability. You should explain to these friends, relatives, or spouses that the purpose of any form sent to them on your case is to determine if you meet the disability criteria. These people should ask you first what your disability is before they fill out and mail forms to Social Security. These people should not answer questions over the phone unless they have talked to you first. When describing your past work, be very careful. Your descriptions should be simple, not complicated. If your past work was very skilled or required technical knowledge, it may be that you can transfer skills to other jobs that you may be found capable of doing. If your past work included supervising other people, it may be found that you can supervise people in other types of jobs that you have no experience in. If you supervised other workers, you probably should not list supervision as part of your past work if it was done less than 1/3 of the time. If you used machines, tools, or equipment on your past jobs, these past jobs may be found to be skilled, and therefore, you may be found to have transferable skills to other jobs that you have never performed before. If you wrote reports, you may have transferable skills to other jobs. If you wrote reports less than 1/3 of a workday, you may not want to say you did this kind of work. When describing the weight you lifted on your past jobs, think about the heaviest item you lifted, since it must be shown that you now lack the ability to do the lifting on your past job. So if you lifted heavy items, identify those items that were heavy on the forms. If you did not receive training for the jobs you performed in the past, say you did not have training on the forms you send to Social Security. Jobs that did not require training may be unskilled jobs, and you would never be able to transfer skills to other jobs if your past work was unskilled. The more education you have, the more it is likely you can transfer skills to other jobs you have never performed before. When asked what grade you completed in school, do not say what grade you dropped out of, but rather say what grade you completed. Even if you have a GED, still say what grade you completed before getting your GED. Never say you have a college education if you did not complete the college courses. Do not leave out any medical condition or any medical symptoms you have. The more you have, the easier it is to be found disabled. Do not say you do not have a mental impairment if you are taking medication for things like depression or anxiety. It is better if you get yourself into treatment for these conditions with a mental health specialist. If medication controls a medical condition, that condition will not be disabling. Describe all your symptoms in spite of taking medication. It is possible to speed up the decision on your case if you have your doctor complete medical source statement forms and mental RFC forms. These forms will be provided by your attorney. However, they are only helpful if you obtain the doctor's treatment notes to go with the forms. When completed, send the forms with the treatment notes to your attorney for submission. If you have questions about these forms, or if you are considering filing for Social Security disability, contact our office today to speak to a legal professional.